Hi guys, it's Morgan and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about episode 1 of season 5 of Riverdale, chapter 77, Climax. Now, if you haven't seen the episode, there will be spoilers in this review, so stop watching if you don't want to be spoiled. With that said, here's my review of episode 1 of season 5 of Riverdale, chapter 77, Climax. Whoever's making the tapes knows about the story Jughead wrote about killing Mr. Honey, but it has to be someone who saw the story lying around, because I don't believe that any of the people who were part of the story could be involved in making the tapes. I'm not sure if Charles is involved with the tapes, but we know he has to be up to something since we know he's with Chick, so I really want to know what's going on with that too. When Veronica asked Archie to play the song that he wrote, it was obviously the song that he wrote for Betty, and he didn't want to play it for Veronica because he didn't want her to find out about what happened. But it was obvious that Veronica was going to find out, which was heartbreaking. I know that there are people who want Betty and Archie to be together, and that's fine, but even though there are people who want them together, I can't imagine that those people would support cheating. I had a feeling Hiram wasn't going to die, especially since he showed up in the finale of Katie Keene, and that show took place 5 years later. But the fact that he's getting better because he's been beating people up is not a great thing, even though he seems to be beating up criminals. But the fact that Hiram's beating people up isn't really a surprise, since that would be the type of thing you would expect Hiram to do. It was nice to see that K.O. was who Archie was competing against to get into the Naval Academy. Since Katie Keene only got 1 season, I like the idea that we could see the rest of the Katie Keene characters in future Riverdale episodes. It would be nice to see them all again. I know that they did it so they could get closer to figuring out who was behind the tapes, but Betty and Jughead making a snuff film of Reggie killing Cheryl was a pretty extreme plan. Yes, the film was fake, but it was still extreme, and if I was in their situation, I wouldn't have done that. But that being said, I don't even know what I would have done if I was in their situation. When Veronica was singing the song that Archie wrote, I knew that Betty was going to react, and you could tell that Betty and Archie felt awkward about it. I know that Veronica sang it to surprise Archie, but it was still really sad because you knew that she was going to find out about Betty and Archie, and that clearly wasn't going to end well. It was really sad when Cheryl found out that Tony hadn't told her grandparents that she's dating Cheryl, but I thought that they were going to pretend they weren't dating when they graduated. But then Tony was about to tell her grandmother that she's dating Cheryl, but then her grandmother said that Cheryl had stopped by and also told Tony that she doesn't want her dating a Blossom, which really made me upset because I really love Cheryl and Tony together, and I was hoping that this wouldn't affect their relationship. So I was really happy that they still went to the prom together, but then I was sad again when Tony told Cheryl that she wasn't going to go home with her, she was going to go home to her grandmother. I really hope that somehow Tony's grandmother will find a way to accept Tony and Cheryl together. I couldn't understand why Betty still had a tape of Hal as a child, since you would think she would want to get rid of anything connected to her dad since he was a serial killer. But since David could tell that the tape they made was fake, a tape that showed the origin of the Black Hood was the only way they could get into the rave to try and find out who was behind all the tapes that keep appearing. And even though they weren't able to find out who's behind the tapes, it was a surprise that they saw Jellybean at the rave, and I really hope she keeps her promise to Jughead and won't go to any more raves. Also, I don't want to believe this, but since Jellybean was at the rave, is there any chance that she could be involved with the tapes? I really hope not. Obviously, Veronica was going to find out about Betty and Archie, but it was still really sad when Archie told her, but he didn't want her to defer a year of college for him. It was also sad when Veronica told Archie that they'll go their separate ways after graduation, but I also thought it was really selfless of Veronica to tell Archie that they won't tell Jughead because they don't want to ruin Betty and Jughead's relationship. But it's pretty obvious that Jughead will find out. Also, it would have been interesting if Archie accepted Hiram's proposal of being his deputy mayor, but since Hiram overheard Veronica tell Hermione that something happened between Archie and Betty, it's obvious that's no longer an option. It's heartbreaking that this episode ended with Veronica and Archie's relationship and Cheryl and Tony's relationship on the rocks, but I really hope that things work out. I know that after the time jump, Veronica's going to be married to someone else, but things can change. And since this episode ended with Archie finding a tape that recreated his experience with the Black Hood, it's clear he's not going to react well to that. Thanks for watching, guys! If you saw the episode, let me know in the comments what you thought about it. And if you want to see any of my previous Riverdale videos, check out the playlist. And if you want to see any of my future videos, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!